Happy 4th of July, everybody, and happy birthday, Cap. Welcome back to the development series for the making of my Avengers Endgame custom LEGO minifigure showcase videos starting this month with Captain Rogers and the Iron Man Mark 85. We're going just a little more in depth on the process for making each figure with these videos so that when I do the actual showcases, I can focus on showcasing without worrying about maybe missing a few details. So getting started here, if you follow me over on Instagram or any of my other pages, you've seen this teaser already, and you can probably tell Cap is going to look a lot different than my older versions. Originally getting started, I was just going to utilize a flash cowl again, those rubber cowls from the DC sets, take the lightning bolts off like usual, like I used to do, and then just go from there. But I wanted to give LEGO's new Captain America helmet a try, but of course the helmet was way too thick on the back and way too long, and I really didn't think sanding was going to help too much. Turns out I was completely wrong, and it made the helmet absolutely perfect, and really the definitive Captain America helmet. But unfortunately, one thing I really had to make sure to do was drill out and carve out the inside of it so that once I painted the face inspired by Phoenix Customs World War II cap, the face would be okay whenever I would turn the helmet or remove the helmet. And then on top of that, taking an actual Cape Madness cape, trimming a bit of fabric off of that and cutting it precisely so that the straps and everything lined up perfectly with the helmet before gluing it in place. It was all very tedious just getting started, let alone actually painting on all of the scales on the chest. And before I even started painting the scales, of course, I had to do all of the 3D layering. I mean, the 3D layering on the torso was just so tedious. I want to say that was at least 2 days of trial and error on and off here and there when I would work on the figure when I did that part. But then just going from there, like I said, and painting the scales was just so time consuming, and making sure that each line wasn't too thick and that they were all just the right, width. And it was all very, very slow, but definitely worth it. And I didn't want to sculpt the scales either because they really don't protrude in the movie. They're not puffy in any way, and so I knew that that wasn't really going to work, and that if I was to engrave the scales, they would need to puff out a little bit, and I just didn't want to do that. And then once I did the 3D shoulders, which actually are connected to the red pattern that you see beneath them, that's all actually one big 3D piece, and the shoulder is actually not separate from it, but I had to paint the Avengers A symbols on top of that, and then while also accounting for all of the mountain blue outlining that had to go around all these 3D elements, because of course I'd actually, to get the outline, I first had to do all of that in black and then fill in those black outlines with the actual mountain blue outline. If that makes sense, you can kind of see what I'm talking about if you really pay attention to the edges of the 3D elements, like the center of the chest and the edges of the shoulders. But then also, of course, man, going further than that, I would say the white abdomen pieces were by far the most challenging 3D elements to cut out and apply, and they're about as good as I could make them, and I'm pretty proud of them thus far. I'm still missing a little bit of detail in those. And getting started on this cap, one thing that was made very clear was just how simple and how inaccurate my older Captain Americas were. I just back then wasn't as concerned with the proper color scheme or trying to pack in as many accurate details as I could, but this time I really tried my best to get every picture and every possible angle of Captain America's helmet and really try to make it as accurate as I could, even with the help of some of you guys over on Instagram who were kind enough to help me in getting some pictures of the top of the helmet. That was super helpful. So some of you guys did actually have a hand in making this figure, which is pretty cool. But yeah, other than that, you might have noticed one big thing that I kind of skipped over here is that the base color of Cap is a primary of like my own mixed denim color, and then the secondary is a darker mixed denim color that I made, and then also like mountain blue for the different outlines to make things more vibrant, and just a lot of things going on here. 3D pouches, again, that face inspired by Phoenix Customs World War II cap, I think is so awesome because I, for the longest time, could never really quite nail Chris Evans' Captain America likeness, and so I think he did, which is why I kind of tried to paint my own interpretation of it here underneath the helmet. And one thing to note about the helmet, the strap is in fact glued onto the head. It just wouldn't make sense to have it glued into the helmet. It would be way too fragile, and the helmet may not even be able to go on properly. So I just figured the best and most seamless option would actually be to glue it onto the head, which is fine because the painted face, you'll see this in the showcases, the painted face is actually, done in such a way that it's really accommodating the helmet and not really meant to be used for a standard Chris Evans face anyway. And while I still have a bit of a ways to go as far as painting the legs and also painting the detail and doing the 3D elements on the back of the torso, of course, you might be wondering, what about the accessories? So the accessories you might have seen in the preview photo, I do have the broken shield. I totally ruined one of my favorite pairs of clippers doing this, but I got Cap's shield broken in pretty much the exact same ways as it appears in the movie, and I tried to make the cracks pretty much as accurate as I could, and I think it turned out really awesome. But one thing you'll kind of see more of in the actual showcase, especially when I make a full shield and not just the broken one, I really tried to kind of crack the code for how I was going to paint this shield properly without using any toxic paints, and so it definitely worked out. I'll go more into that in the showcase, but as far as Mjolnir goes, I do have a temporary one that I used for my Age of Ultron showcases way back when that I used for this photo, but as far as making a better one, I am actually collaborating once again with my good buddy Andrew over at AV Figures to make an even better looking one that is more accurate with more painted detail and a actual brown handle that is not painted. So it'll be really awesome. Captain America is already turning out to be one of my favorite figures I've ever made, and by far I think my best Captain America to date, period. Let me know if you agree down in the comments. It's definitely been really challenging with all the tedious detail and applying the various 3D elements that were definitely more hard to pull off this time around, but I cannot wait to start moving toward the finish line with this guy this month, and then also we're to wrap up the Iron Man Mark 85 with the wings and the HUD and all that cool stuff that you will see in that first showcase video featuring Cap and the Mark 85. So I hope I will catch you guys in that video, but that's going to do it for this one. Thanks so much for sticking around, and let me know what you think so far down in the comments. I know progress has been pretty slow, guys, but I really mean it when I say I'm not rushing these. This is my last chance to make new suits for some of the major Avengers and my last chance to make the others for quite a while, I imagine. So yeah, but either way, of course, you can see all the progress over on my Patreon first. As always, I just posted my current roadmap over there for literally every figure I have planned right now. Otherwise, you can catch the previews like these for the Endgame showcases and the future Spider-Man Far From Home showcase over on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook if you've got any of those. All of this, of course, way before any of it reaches the channel. So yeah, and also one last thing, I've been doing a podcast with a good friend of mine, Tate. We're already on like episode 17 this week. It's been a ton of fun. We've been kind of doing it on the down low. We'll be live though this weekend on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern talking all things Spider-Man Far From Home, and would love it if you drop by to hang out. And yeah, huge thanks to all my patrons, by the way. All these people you're about to see on this screen, especially Wokers. These guys really... I can't thank them enough. It means the world that I've got a little fan club over on Patreon of people who have been looking forward to all the showcases, so much so they want to support the channel in that way. So yeah, but anyway, that's it. Take care, guys. All right. Bye-bye. Happy 4th of July, everybody, and happy birthday, Cap. Welcome back to the development series for the making of my Avengers Endgame custom LEGO minifigure showcase videos. Can't breathe, man.